Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we are back with the $1 Million teachers. I don't say it plural because you guys are one now, but the $1 Million teacher. Welcome to the show, the Retrain Your Brain Effect podcast. I am your beautiful hostess, Mo speaking, and I have my amazing guests with me back today, Vanessa and
Yes.
Guys, it happened again. Hold on. We got to start this over again. This is what happens when you are your sound person, you are the sound engineer, you are the web tech, you are the host, you are everybody.
The producer.
Hold on. I cannot have a repeat of what happened at the last show. Okay. Here we go. I would like to welcome back to the show.
It didn't go through.
This is a mess. Thank God my followers, they love me because I'm a good-hearted person and not for the quality that's happening right now. All right, let's start over. Welcome back to the show, Vanessa and Andy.
I didn't hear the clap.
Finally, it happened. You know what? You guys jinxed me because we were talking about it before the show. And I was like, no, I've got it. It's all queued up. I've got it. And now I've been jinxed. Oh, well. Next time. Luckily, we're going to see you a few more times after this episode. So don't worry. Next time will be smooth. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. We're glad to be here.
How are you guys doing today?
We're doing really good.
Yeah. We got our heater on in here, so it's not so cold for this one here.
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's give it up one time for Florida joining the winter solstice. Good job, Florida.
In the 40s.
We coined a phrase, the southeastern. You guys have the northeastern up north. It's the southeastern. It's when our iguanas die in Florida because it's so cold. Because we're presently having a southeastern.
Listen, you know what? Florida, winter is rough in Florida. I'm going to just say. For these past 2-3 days, I don't have anything to wear. It messes up my plans.
You didn't keep all your old stuff from the north?
No. As soon as I found out I was moving down here, I gave everything away. My house became the Goodwill. I was giving everything away. I'm like, I'm going to Florida. See you later, suckers. I don't need this feather down hoodie jacket. I don't need my baby fat jacket anymore.
You should see it. Vanessa's got all my, she'll be wearing my jackets, and she's like, what's warmer, this leather jacket or this peacoat jacket? And she's like, the leather jacket's way warmer. And then she got to wear the peacoat jacket. They're like, oh, this is actually warm.
Yeah.
I was like,
I wouldn't know.
I'm
in Florida.
I used to live for winter time, fall and winter up north. Okay, that's when we can really stunt your boots and your jacket matching with your. Oh, come on now. So yeah, when I moved to Florida, that was it. I was like shorts and flip flops, and then our 2-3 day winter happened, and I was like, I have no clothes.
I run out of clothes so quickly because you're not expecting the back to back.
And here is the magic of Disney magic is that every year, I've been here for 10 years, and every year I should know better. I should have a jacket. I should have winter clothes, and I still don't. I still believe. No. I'm holding on to it. But anyways, we're not here to talk about the weather in Florida. We are here to talk about that money.
We about that money in here.
Yeah, we want to get into people's pockets. We want to get in their bank accounts. We want to get under their mattress. Where do you guys keep your money? In the mason jar in the back of the closet?
We keep that in properties.
Yes, we do.
Because that goes up.
Andy's like, look, I'm not even playing along with that.
Nah, money. If you got tangible money, that might go down in value. We keep in things that go up in value.
Amen to that.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that because we're going to start the show off by talking about the mindset around money. So the last episode, if you guys missed it, my listeners out there, we got to talk and get to know Andy and Vanessa and their whole situation with money, because you guys were not born into this millionaire status. You were not born into this mindset. It was something realistic, something serious that really happened to shake your life and make you retrain your brain around your finances.
Yeah.
And so today, if you guys did not watch the episode, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It was really good. It really hit home, which I believe a lot of people in our country are sitting in a similar situation.
Yeah.
You guys were lucky, or fortunate enough, I should say, that you got to experience that before the pandemic hit. So you were able to kind of reset yourselves. But this show now is going to be more focused on your mindset around the money.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lights, camera, action show.
That's
you guys are
right.
going to help us turn on the lights in our minds with our finances. You're going to give us a good vision. And then you're going to give us some steps so that we can put into action. And what I love about what you guys are about to do for the people is that they can immediately, guys, I'm going to throw myself in there too. We can immediately, if you are able to, put this into action starting like right after you hear the show. And that's what I love about it. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to give you guys the floor. And go ahead. What do we have for the people today?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
No,
Start us off. Oh, okay.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, actually, I lose that game every single time. That's a bad game to play with us. He's like, I'm like 0 for 1,000.
She can read your mind.
Play the game once she wants to win. There's 3 parts to it. Like you said, there's the mindset that you got to get into, and it's very opposite of what you're told. Very opposite of conventional wisdom from maybe what your parents told you, what school told you, whatever. So you have to kind of get your mind around that this is different. Mm-hmm. It's not easy, and not many people are doing it around you. So when you say, hey, guess what? This is what I'm doing, people are going to look at you like with that look, like, what are you doing? Because no one's the advice that, people who are wealthy is not what everyone else is doing. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. And then you have your steps about what you're going to do. Here's the how to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's the hardest part of all, which you think the first part and the second part is hardest. Then now you got to go do it. Now you got to go put that into action.
That's the part. Yes.
Yeah. Because you can sit there and learn all you want and be like, oh, I have the mindset. I'm good. I understand it. And I've been in many conversations with people. They're like, oh, yeah, I get it. We're on the same page, but are you doing it? Mm-hmm. And the answer is no at the end of the day.
Right.
So that separates like the players from the non-players who are investors.
Absolutely.
So the first thing we want to get into is debt. The dollar is debt that we have, and we are a debtor nation. So some people don't understand that process, and there are good debts and there are bad debts. So for example, if you have a credit card or you're in student loan debt, that would be a bad debt because you are paying money out of your pocket to something and you're not seeing necessary return on that money.
Wow.
Then there are things that
credit cards are bad debt. They're considered bad debt.
Yes, if you're using them to buy cars or something that you're going to pay out. So for example, if I go buy a jacket, I can use a credit card, swipe, get the jacket, but now I'm paying on the jacket for me to own. Go ahead.
And then you're losing money, especially when interest is involved. It's bad debt because then you're paying on top of the money that you're borrowing. So it's taking money out of your pocket to borrow the money that you're borrowing.
Now, I don't want to mess up the flow, but I have a question.
Right.
Because, and I'm probably going to be hopping in with the conventional mindset because I haven't gotten to your status yet.
It's great. This is a good conversation.
I'm hanging around you guys. I'm getting there, but I haven't gotten all the way there yet. But what do you say to the people that, like, we've always learned that get credit cards because that helps you. So I would consider that as good debt.
Well, yes and no. It's debt that will help your status in being a better borrower. And you have to be very responsible. If you're using the credit cards or you're borrowing properly and responsibly, it will work in your favor. But if you're just amassing credit cards and you're not paying it off at the end of every month and you have 29% interest rate on your monthly payment, and it's definitely going to cause more harm than good in the long run. But if you're amassing credit cards and you're making purchases every month and you're paying it off at the end of every month, that's different, because that's going to be used when you're trying to get a loan or pre-approved for property. So it's definitely a love-hate relationship sometimes, but you have to make sure that if you're using it responsibly, so that it can be actually benefiting you to be a better borrower in the eyes of the banks if you're going through a conventional loan process.
So we're a firm believer of using credit cards, but using credit cards appropriately to, number one, get good credit, get a good credit score, because at the end of the day, we want to borrow money to buy an asset that's good debt for us, that brings us money. So our definition is, and it's not necessarily our definition, this is a very common definition, bad debt is something that takes money out of your pocket that you're not going to receive return on that. Good debt is something that you're going to put a loan on, but that's going to pay you money. And so in this way, you're growing your wealth if you're buying different assets that are going to pay you money, but you're taking out debt to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're good.
Yeah, that does make sense. And then, and also just for anybody that doesn't know, because I know eventually it becomes common knowledge, but you can't assume. Using a credit card responsibly or appropriately is typically staying like 10% or not going over 9 or 10% of what that credit card value is. So if you have $500 on there, you want to stay at like, oh my gosh, I just did it in my head real quick, because I was like, well, you got $200. You don't even have that much you need to stay in about like $75. You really can't even go over $100.
Well, it depends. Like if we were doing our credit card show, there's 5 different ways that a credit card values you as a borrower, and you have to follow all those ways. So the amount of money that you have as far as credit is concerned, that's only one thing. They call it your debt to income ratio. How much are you spending and how much do you have? So that's one other thing. Like there's payment history, there's how much credit you have. So there's a variety of different things. It's not just one thing. So that's why we're here to kind of give education on credit cards. It's not just, oh, I have $1,000 limit and I'm spending $400, so I'm now at 40% of my limit. That's just one aspect of what credit cards are looking for as far as you being a good borrower.
And then when it comes to the percentage that you're talking about, I think that's a great generalization to have, but there are credit cards that will give you a good chunk of change as you know, for a loan. And even at a 20%, you can't afford to pay that 20% at the end of the month. So my personal go-to is, if you can't pay off the balance at the end of the month, don't spend that during the month, because once you start paying interest on top of it, then you're paying the credit cards. You need to make sure that when you're using it, you're making the credit cards pay you. You're using them so that you can boost your credit score, so that you can get a better loan when you go to be a borrower when it comes to property. So even be careful with that minimum.
That is really, really good to remember. I like that. If you can't pay it by the end of the month, don't even charge it up in your card, because I know people see that value on that credit card, and just because you have it don't mean you got it. You need to stay within your limit.
Well, even if I would say if you had a plan, so for example, let's say you got $1,000 credit card and you take out $100 and you want to make your payments, but you're making them on time and you're making the full amount of payment, that's good as far as credit is concerned. So, but we like our credit cards over here because we like to use them so we can be good borrowers, and we love credit, and because that helps us buy assets that will make us money. So that's very unconventional.
Without having to use your own money. So it is important to have a healthy relationship with your credit cards.
Where some people say, you don't want any debt, zero debt. Debt is bad, it's horrible, it's whatever. We don't believe in that at all. We actually think if it's good debt, that good debt for us will be in debt if it's paying us money. So that's the unconventional wisdom where people are telling you, don't get into debt. And we're sitting there saying, you should get into debt, but the good debt.
But just make sure that it's good debt. I like that.
Yes.
What other aspects have changed as far as your mindset, and what other things can you share with people as far as helping to change their mindset in regards to their finances?
I think that a big one for us was, for me to wrap my head around, he was a lot quicker to come to it, was asset versus liability. When we first started this journey, his mindset was definitely around, you know, I want a certain kind of car, I want to live in a certain kind of house. And it wasn't necessarily that it was unattainable, but it was that those particular items weren't putting money in our pockets. As he expanded his knowledge on this journey, there was a huge shift from liability items and pushing it towards, let's purchase an asset that would pay for those liabilities.
Yeah, that's a crazy mindset. That's another thing, right? So, for example, if you're getting a paycheck every month, like most people do, you could take that paycheck and spend that money, right? Like most people do, income and expenses, and then you don't have the money. I've spent $100, the $100 never coming back to me, right? Think about taking that $100 and buying an asset, something of good debt. That $100 will come back to you, that same $100, but it's brought some friends. It brought 10 friends with him. So now it's $110. And that $110 can now go pay for the thing, or that $10 that you made on it will go pay for the thing. So instead of using my money to pay for the car or the house or whatever, why don't I use the asset to pay for that instead of my money? Because my money is going to come back home to us. But the thing that the money that is spitting off now, the cash flow is coming, will pay for the liability, the car, the hat, the suit, whatever it is.
So finding assets that will create that passive income where you're not putting in your time in order to make money. The asset that you purchased is bringing in that income for you.
Yeah, I like that you guys bring this up, because you've hit basically what the American dream basically is if I bring in enough income, I'll have enough to pay for my expenses. And that's basically what people live for. It's like, okay, so I need to get a really good paying job, and I need to work really hard, or I need to build this $1 million business, or I need to do this and that. So we are constantly thinking in terms of income, expense. And you guys are encouraging, and you've done it yourself, to break out of that type of thinking mold, if I'm hearing you correctly, and now think in terms of assets and liabilities.
Well, we still think of an income and expenses. That's a part of it. You have to, whatever you're bringing in, you're spending on your expenses. But that's what's called an income statement, income versus expenses. But then what you have also, what businesses look at, is a balance sheet or a profit loss sheet, where you have now your asset and your liability. So normally you have your job, it brings in your income, and then you spend your expenses, but then you go back to the job again to get your income. Where us, we get our income from our job, we take our income and we buy an asset. And now that asset's bringing money into our pockets.
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
And so then you buy 2 or 3 assets, and now you have your job, right? That's paying your money. And you have 3 assets that are now paying you money. So now you're expanding and you're not so reliant on the job.
So instead of having a circle, you have an umbrella.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way of putting
exactly.
it.
Basically.
So you still have your like income and then your expenses going out, right?
Yeah.
But underneath you have your assets and your liabilities underneath. And you're sitting there saying, well, is your house an asset or liability? It's technically an asset because you could sell it at any given day and get a cash profit from it, hopefully. But it's still not paying you. So in our definition, it's a liability. Like our car, we could sell the car today and get $10,000, whatever. So we can get a monetary value, but we hold our car, we're not getting paid by our car. We're actually paying on the car for gas, mileage, to get wear and tear. So those are liabilities. But if we have assets that pay for that, we don't have to.
Yeah.
And we keep all our money.
Right. That's coming in from your job or from whatever the other revenue sources are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's another example of an asset like that? An everyday person, like, okay, I got paid, I've got some extra money, and besides the real estate, because I know we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But what's something else that maybe, like, this is a completely new concept? I'm not ready to jump into buying property, but where can I start with something small?
They have 4 different asset classes, real estate being one of them that you just brought up. But then there's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. So that's the stock market that you can invest in. Then there's commodities. So you have like your gold, your water, silver, something that's in the ground, tangible dirt, land.
Okay. And
then you have your businesses. So you can either create a business, or people don't think about this, you could buy a business. Instead of working, I'm going to create my business, I'm going to work in this business and making money. I want to buy something that someone's already running. And I could look at the profit loss statement and sit there and say, this business makes money, because that's what Warren Buffett does. All he does is look at businesses and says, this is a profitable business. I'm going to invest in Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola is going to pay me, and he doesn't do anything.
And he doesn't do anything. So that's a really good asset. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I have family members who actually take that position more so than not, where they just invest in an already established business as a partner, and their financial backing. So they do get a profit, and they do virtually nothing but provide that financial stability for the business, and they still get a profit at the end of the month, and they're getting paid back the money that they loaned. So that's something that a lot of people don't consider.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, obviously stocks and bonds in the stock market, yes. Real estate, yes. But commodities is not one that comes to mind right away, and definitely not getting involved in businesses, because you could go ahead and purchase a franchise that's already, and start making money that way. So that's another great idea for an asset. I love it.
The only thing I would warn people about, because we actually get this all the time, like, is real estate a good investment? Is stocks and bonds? And the answer is, I don't know. I would ask, what do you know about it? So if you're going to be like, well, I would like to invest in business, do you think it's a good idea? I would say, what do you know about business? You want to get into real estate? I would say, well, what do you know about real estate? Because if we were to invest in some company that we didn't know, we're gambling. We're going to lose money. We haven't done our due diligence on it.
Different
so
investing.
So for us, and we got into real estate, it goes back to our last episode. We did our work. We did the hard work. We did we got the knowledge, and that led us to the next thing.
So is there anything else as far as mindset that you guys want to get into with people with their finances?
We kind of touched on it briefly when we were talking about, being a financial backer. Other people's money is a huge piece. There are so many different ways of finding financial backing or providing financial backing to jump into this particular real estate game that a lot of people don't know about. And I know that it's so elaborate that we can't go into all of it this time, but I definitely would love to come back and kind of share, ways that you can use other people's money. I know it sounds shady to
it
those.
Does.
Yes, it does. It sounds very shady, but once you realize there are so many different ways that you can either attain financial support or provide financial support and be that silent co-owner of a property. And because it's just not in our natural wheelhouse, whenever the term is brought up, there's a lot of people that are like, I'm
going to jump in here. Let me jump in here, please. Let me jump in. I totally will. Because when we went to our first real estate course, they were talking about other people's money and like, well, you can just borrow money from like your family, your friends, whatever. And Vanessa had the hugest stank face.
I sure
and
did.
she's like, I'm supposed to get my mom and hit her up for money.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit my friend up who's broke. Like, I'm going to take their money. I'm going to steal from them to buy it. Those are ways of doing it. But like, for example, a good example of other people's money is the bank's money. Use the bank's money. The bank has money for you to take. It's free money almost.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you said that, because again, and I'm representing the people. Again, when you say things like that, automatically I'm like where Vanessa was. What?
Yeah,
other people, like what people? And it's like,
give me money.
Right. And you don't think about the financial institutions like the bank.
Yeah.
And I love how you opened my eyes to the bank and exactly how that works, because when you know what these institutions really are, and you have that understanding and knowledge behind that, then yes, it is other people's money. Like legit, you are really using other people's money.
You can use your mom and your sister. I mean, that's a way. That's not a bad idea if it's thought out and planned. But again, the banks, the financial institutions, the government, there's so many programs out there. That's what they do. The money's there. It's already there.
Right.
And for you to take it, no one's gonna be like, oh, you took money from the government. Oh, that's for you.
Exactly. Yeah. The way it's all set up, it is for you to use. So we're going to stop here. We're going to take a break. I know that's a lot to digest. So we're going to give people
a lot.
We're going to give people 60 seconds exactly. They have 60 seconds to digest it if you're listening on the podcast. If you're on YouTube, You've got like 0.5 seconds. But we're going to go ahead, get a word in from our sponsors, and then come back and get into the camera part, the vision. We're going to paint that vision for everybody, the how-to. Okay, guys, so we're back. Before we jump in, I need to do a little bit of self-promo. Dear Me, What to Tell Yourself When You Feel Stuck by Mo Martin is available on Amazon. Can you guys see that? There we go.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys are great. You're always hyping me up. It is available on Amazon, less than $10 to help you straighten out your life, straighten out your thoughts, organize yourself, and get you ready to reach your goals. And speaking of reaching goals, we are here with Vanessa and Andy, who are sharing with us how they became the $1 million teachers, okay? Regular teachers working in education, paycheck to paycheck. You guys know the story because you live it. And they have turned their financial lives inside out, upside down. And they are showing us.
We no longer live paycheck to paycheck, I'll tell you that.
They are ready to equip us with the steps so that we can do the same exact things. All right, guys, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
You want it? I love it. See that? She looks at me, I look at her.
I love it. You guys are in sync. I love it.
Yeah. We're just gonna start on, let's go from the beginning. We got our start with real estate. So when we talk about the 4 asset classes, we got it through real estate. So you can get through anything, but this is how we, kind of our steps to doing it.
Yeah.
The first part, and I know the hardest part, and I've heard this like 1,000 times on other podcasts, I don't have any money.
Yeah.
Where's the dough?
Where's the money, right? So
yes.
The first part I want to talk about, it's people think it's so much money to get into a property. It's not. So if you do what's called an FHA loan, the Federal Housing Administration loan, you can get a house for 3.5% down. So if you have a house of $100,000, it's going to cost you $3,500 to get into that house.
Oh, that's good. That's tax return money.
Yeah. So I know we're talking about like how to find the money, but I just want to let people know first. Yeah. People think it's this astronomical like price. It's so much money. You can get into a property for a primary residence at 3.5% down. Yes.
That's what I did. That's what I did. I, as a single mom, only making like $20,000 a year. I used my tax return money. So all my single parents out there, when you get that EIC coming through, instead of buying up those flat screens and cars and things like that, take that money and buy a property. It can be
buy
done.
An asset.
Buy an asset.
That's gonna pay you money.
That's gonna pay you money. And it wasn't even my whole return. It was like less than half or about half of my return. So you guys can do it. I did it. Vanessa, you wanted to say something?
The one thing I would say to all you first time home buyers out there that are trying to start this process, and I'm probably jumping ahead on your list.
Go ahead.
Sorry. If you are in a position and you have that chunk of change that you can put it on your 3.5, I don't know if you know this, but a duplex, a triplex, and a quadplex is also considered a primary residence, which is what this FHA loan kind of is housed under. Encompass. Yes. So instead of buying a single family home that's just for you and yours, you can purchase that same home, and it could have an adjoining duplex that is actually paying your mortgage.
Boom, like done.
Listen, it can pay your mortgage and then give you some extra.
Okay, so right now we just helped like at least a quarter of our audience that by the time this airs, it'll be in January. So you're getting ready to go file taxes at the end of this month. In another month, when your money comes through, go shopping. Go property shopping.
Yes.
That's so much fun.
Not at Walmart.
Not at Target.
Not on Amazon. Go on. I like Redfin. I don't know what you guys use. Redfin is I love Redfin, but you guys use all them apps. Download all those apps and go house shopping. And if you want to do it the smart way and have somebody else using someone else's money pay for your mortgage, get a duplex, a triplex, or a quadplex, fourplex. Now, I know here in the state of Florida,
Yes.
it's not considered commercial property up to a fourplex, quadplex.
Yeah.
I don't know your lingo. I'm learning
What
it.
you're saying there, it's considered a single family loan if you're going to get a loan on the property, which most people do. As long as it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 units, it's called single family. And that's the big where we were coming through, because we think of single family as a house.
Yes, that's what I always think. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not true. I mean, it is partially true because obviously you get a single unit, but
I'm so excited for somebody right now because I feel like the light just went on for them and they were like, "Oh, we getting paid." I'm so excited for somebody. That's awesome.
And that kind of like, again, it goes back to the mindset that here's your information. I didn't know I could do that because no one told me I could do that.
He asks me that all the time. He says, well, what would you do differently if you know what you know now? And I'm not a person that's like, well, I would have changed all this stuff. I feel like everything happens for a reason. But that is the one thing, if I knew when I was purchasing my first home about this, oh no, it would have been on.
Me too.
I would have been in a different life, a different pay bracket right now.
I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I feel some kind of way about having people live. But look, I have people live. I live in a townhome. I have people living next to me right now. Somebody could have been paying for my house.
Exactly. And you still talk to them, and you can still be an introvert.
Well, no, we talk a little bit, but I'm a nice neighbor. I'm a nice introvert. But but next time. Okay, so go ahead, continue, Mr.
Yeah. So I would say that's gonna, again, if you have a duplex or triplex or fourplex, that's just more money. It's gonna pay the mortgage, and after the mortgage and all expenses, then you get your stuff.
Yeah.
So, but finding, go ahead.
How?
Say it again.
How did they get the money to do that?
Oh, how do they get the money? Yes.
Income taxes.
So we talked about just generally about, how much it costs, but now let's get into like, how do you find the money?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different places that you probably already hoarded money in. So for example, a 401k, an IRA, an annuity, there's different loans you could take out. There's government programs, there's investors, maybe you have some cash lying around. So those are all different places you can go find the money. So when we first did our first deal, we looked into our 401k because obviously we're teachers, and the conventional wisdom is you put some money in a 401k.
Yeah.
And they tell you, don't touch that money.
I was going to say, but you're not supposed to touch it.
That was me. I fought the idea for a long time. I gave him heck about it. I really did.
You don't touch that money.
No, you don't touch that.
Because the government going to come and slap your hand and tell you a bad person, right?
Right. Till you back up.
Yeah. So my thing is, we went into our 401k and I had found out that, guess what? I've been working that teaching gig for a long time. I've been pocketing my money away. There was $25,000 in the account to be spent.
What? Okay, now hold on. Because you said you being a teacher for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's put numbers so that we can make this a reality, because long time means different things for different people.
Yeah.
So what is a long time for you?
Well, when I first started teaching down here in Florida, it was around 2012, and we'll call it, by the time we got the first properties, like 2016, 2017. So
4 or 5 years. Yeah. That's okay. When you talk about work, that's not a long time. It's a good amount. But that's not a long time to have already accumulated that much. So somebody right now listening that's been working on their job 3 to 5 years has a 401k, may very well already have at least a few thousand sitting in their 401k.
Or an IRA, or maybe an annuity or an insurance plan, or maybe you have some cash lying around. Who knows?
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead. This is good. Keep going. Okay, so you had 25 sitting in there.
Yeah, 25. Cash, and and I didn't know I could go in there and get it. And then again, going back to the knowledge part, or the mindset, I was learning that you could go into it, and I had to fight that mindset of going in and getting the money. So what me and Vanessa have pulled up here is we have our original application. Now, it doesn't have any information on it, but it's got the application on there because we want to show people. It clearly states if you go to your job and say, hey, I would like to pull out money for my 401k, it's called a hardship withdrawal.
Right.
And you can pull that out. So we would like to share that with people. So
let me know when you can see it on your end.
Yeah, it's popped up. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you look here, it says hardship withdrawal guidelines. It says monies may be requested. Use one of the following purposes. So there's a variety of different purposes. But if you look at the first bullet point, the very first one, it says to pay costs directly related to the purchase of a participant's principal residence.
Sitting there in black and white. Are you serious? At number 1.
And people didn't know. And as he pointed out, I'm not a form person. It is literally a 1-pager. So for all you people who are like, well, you know how many forms you have to fill out in order to get it? It's a 17-page document, but you fill out 1 page of the 17 pages and submit it.
Get out of here.
Yes.
And now the people that are listening on the podcast that aren't watching this, guys, I'm literally looking at right now 1 page. And it's like, you're right. I mean, it's almost about the same amount of info that you put in for signing up for a social media account, minus social security number.
It's probably more.
It's
not the social security account. Social media account is probably more.
Right. It's like a little bit more than that. So this is a very easy form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just asking for your name, your address, whatever it is, and then you say, "This is how much money I want out of my account," and that's it.
So the name of the form that people would ask for is called a what form?
It's a hardship withdrawal form. So basically. Yeah, so it's saying you've fallen on hard times, most of it. So, for example, if you got damage to your house, or there's a loved one who's sick, or someone passed away, heaven forbid, you can get that hardship. But it also, buying a primary residence falls under that. So you can withdraw that money. That's your money to withdraw.
I'm in shock right now. Go ahead. You guys keep talking. I'm in shock.
My mindset opportunity for mindset shift came in because my question was then, well, then what are you going to use when you retire if you're going to use this money to buy a property now?
Right.
You're basically taking out your retirement because I was in the system of you don't touch it until you're 60, ...
Yeah. Exactly.
And so after speaking with him and kind of talking to my mom as well, when you get to a certain place with real estate, if you sell one property, chances are you're going to have more money coming back to you in that one property that you bought back when you were in your 30s.
Exactly.
And that is your retirement.
Yeah.
But then you've also amassed multiple other proproperties. So your retirement is the amount that you're getting for your retirement is so much more money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But again, it's that mental cage that we've built. And to no fault to anybody, it's just that's what we've learned. That's what we've always known. So even though, like you just broke it down for us, Vanessa, you would be making double at minimum double what was in that account. But because we built that cage, don't touch it. It's for retirement. What are you going to use? How are you going to survive? So you guys just filled out this 1-page form.
Yeah,
that's it.
Sent
it back to the employer. And they literally sent me a check within maybe 2 weeks.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Shut up. Sorry, everybody. I know this is Retrain Your Brain, and I'm always so nice.
It took so much longer to talk me into doing it than it did for him to get the money back.
Because they have to go through what's called a fiduciary,
That's hilarious.
Fiduciary who holds that money, approves it, and they go through the 401k company, but that's nothing you see. But the fiduciary signs it, and then they send you a check. It's your money. Yeah. It's your money.
Disclaimer.
Go ahead. Disclaimer alert.
There are sometimes penalties. Do you want to touch base on the penalties for going in early?
So let me just talk on 2 points here real quickly. There is a 10% federal tax that you have to pay on the money. So you will have to pay that off. And this is not for this particular show, but you can write that whole thing off. So whatever money you owe to the government, you can get it written off. And your expenses.
What?
It's a whole show. It's a whole show. And
okay, that's a whole nother show.
Please talk to your CPA, your accountant about how you can write that off. But you can absolutely. We didn't pay that, and it sounds bad, but we were able to.
No, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds like freedom is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then the second part about people were worried about the money coming back to you. What happened to the money that we spent?
Mm-hmm.
It all came back home.
Yeah.
We got every dime back that we spent on that property. So our closing costs, our down payment, we got that back through rental income and then some.
Yeah.
and
And
tax.
then you can also write in the closing costs into the whole contract when the whole
Yeah,
purchase of the
exactly.
property goes down. So that
Yeah.
you can also, waive that fee and not even have that come out of your own pocket. So you
Yeah.
guys literally just gave in literally, I think about like 3 steps, how somebody can, after this show ends and we say, okay, bye, they can go
Look at that
ahead
property.
and get that money. And in about, we'll add a few more weeks on it. In about 1 month,
Mhm.
you can have at least the funds that you need.
Yeah. Just to go back real quickly, go to your administrative person, your business person. They should know what it is.
Yeah, HR.
They know what it
whoever
is.
HR is,
Yeah,
and they
HR or
know.
your business
So
administrator.
don't let
Ask
them
them
give
for the
you the
form.
look like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Be like, no, we heard it on the Retrain Your Brain Effect. We
Just
heard
know-
the $1 million teacher tell us.
Yeah. They have the form. You get the form, you fill it out, you send it back. They send it to the fiduciary, it goes through all this other stuff. But
That
then
is
essentially it comes
great.
back to you.
Mhm.
And then they send, once everything's cleared, which maybe take a week or so for it to go through its proper channels and the 401k company, then the money comes right on back.
I'm
Here's
so
the check in the
excited
mail.
for everybody listening to this show. And I hope you guys share this. If this is information that you already know, don't be greedy. Share it with other friends and family, because I guarantee there are at least 3 to 5 people in your circle that don't know about this, and you will be helping so many people out in their financial situations. But I'm
Yeah.
so excited for the audience listening, because you guys have just literally helped change someone, at least one person listening. You've just helped change their life. And whether they use that money to go ahead in to the asset of real estate, or maybe investing in a business or into stocks, whatever, you just enlightened somebody that did not know about this. Because I know my jaw was open when you told me this the first time, like back when this was first happening.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not right. No.
I wish I could have taken the camera to your face the first time we talked about so many of these different concepts. You're like, no, there's no way.
That's not legal.
Exactly. I was like, no, there had to be something more to it, but it really is that simple. Now, it's hard work. There's things that have to go into it, because this was just the first step of what you guys had to do.
Find the money.
Find the money.
Find the money. Just know it's there and that you can get it.
But you can do that, or you can take like my route, which was to take, if you are fortunate enough, to have that EIC credit to you during tax time, stop wasting it on liabilities, and get yourself an asset. Go buy yourself an asset.
I would even say this: if you can get someone to let you borrow the money, if you could sit there and say with certainty, I can pay you back in a year and a half, based on the cash flow that's coming out. Mom, I'm a good investment. Going back to that, like kind of shady, like, because you can get it from the bank. But if you want to go to a parent and you present the plan and you say, here's what I'm purchasing for, here's the money I need, I'm going to get you this money back in a 12 to 15 month period, and you'll get paid back every dime. Yeah. I guarantee it.
Disclaimer: make sure that you talk to your financial backing. Depending on the loan that you're getting, there are certain loans that are only going to accept what he's talking about as gifts, up to a certain amount. Yeah. And then there are other loans where that person that's lending you the money might have to actually be a partner within that investment property. So just make sure that you double check to make sure that what you're trying to do is feasible within your plan.
Yeah, you're right. There are different it's the fine print.
This is why I keep around.
Yeah, so it depends where you go to get that loan. Just make sure you check into all those little details. But I'm so glad you guys shared this. Unfortunately, we've reached the end, because otherwise we will be we will. I know. Listen, you guys are gonna have to take January, February, and March at the pace we're going. But even with this little bit, you guys really shared. I'm just so excited. I want somebody in the comments something. Please make sure you DM me, write it in the comments, say something. If you've learned something or you tried it, come back a couple months later and say, hey, listen, I tried it, it works. And then also, let's not forget, disclaimer, I'm taking Vanessa's line. Don't forget, we live in Florida. So this is what is, I'm not sure exactly how this works nationally, but this is what works here in Florida. So, take that into consideration, because, I've got people listening from all over.
National now?
We're in 3 countries. Yes, I don't want to brag or nothing, but so just check with your
like, no dirt out there,
Yes, girl, you do it.
But
that's a brag.
I want to talk about one quick thing before we get out of here, though. I want to talk about how scary this is.
Yes.
I want to talk about how petrifying it is to go against conventional wisdom.
The first time.
The first time.
It's easier once you know it works. You're like, oh, that works. No problem. And it becomes a part of you. But when I just want to make sure that we're not, making it sound rosy color, like, oh, you just do this and you just do that, and you just take out like $20,000.
Yeah, exactly.
It's petrifying.
It is.
Because you have people looking at you like you're gonna pull out your 401k, and they think that, and they literally think it's bad. And then you're like, oh my, is this going to work?
Oh my gosh! With that, people are gonna look at you weird. The 2 notes I wrote down: when you start talking in this vernacular, people are gonna give you the side eye. They're gonna be like, oh my gosh, there's some. Here we go again. You're on some scam. No, they're gonna look at you strange. You've got to know your truth. It's your vision. You got to make sure you stick to that. And it's definitely a mindset shift. So if it's a mindset shift
back
for
to the
you
mindset.
to attain, it's definitely going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people to hear. But that's my first note. People are going to look at you weird. The second one is don't stop talking about it, because the people who do get it, the people who are in that same mindset shift as you are in, they are going to be your biggest advocates, and you're going to find a lot of people out there to support you. There are a lot more people than you realize that are trying to invest in this way, and they just don't know enough about it. And you being that sounding board is definitely going to do great things for your network. And that's something we'd love to come back and share with you, building that network so that you have a very strong group of people that you're working with to make it successful.
But I want to come back to us just real quickly.
Yeah.
She was, I'm sitting here going like full steam ahead on this thing. Like this, going back to the previous episode and the bad situation then, I felt like I had no choice. We had to change.
Yeah.
We had to move.
Yeah, something had to change. Yeah.
I wasn't willing to stay in this anymore. So as I'm moving forward and I'm learning and we're doing this, it's scary. And Vanessa, I want to make sure you understand, it was an uneasy time for Vanessa, because here I am doing this stuff, and Vanessa's sitting there looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
He's swimming in the deep end, and I'm reeling him in.
Exactly.
He's swimming and I'm reeling, but it was a great balance, I feel.
Yeah. Well, you guys provided that really equaled out balance, and it's good. And I'm glad you're telling people that, because hindsight, we're listening to it in hindsight, your version of the story. But as it was happening,
that's what I want people to say.
And even with just buying your first property in the way that I did it, it was still, it's exciting, but it's still gut-wrenching, because you really have to tighten up on the finances. You have to chill, because they're in your business with the banks, doing it the way I did it with the FHA loan anyway. You feel like the poorest person on earth, because you can't spend money. You can't spend $1 anywhere, but it's worth it. And it also teaches you discipline, like you're able to do it, But speaking of connection and networking and reaching out, you guys have a page, correct?
Yes.
So if people want to reach out and they want that support, because not everyone is fortunate to have people around them that are speaking life into their vision. So if they feel like they need that support, they can hook up with you guys, right?
Absolutely. You want to say our page?
Yeah, guys, come on, let's go. That's the
third time I look at her and she's like, yes, you're going to do it.
Share it.
We are at AVK Wealth, Finance and Real Estate. Yes. It's a Facebook page, and we also have a YouTube page coming out. We got some content coming out for everyone. So all these little things, we're going to break them down into little, segments for people so they can
videos.
Yeah. So if they feel like anything has been overwhelming here, come back to us. We'll get you that knowledge.
Look, yes, it has been. I'm going to speak up for everybody. I represent the people. Yes, it has been, but it's a good thing. I want to drive that traffic over to your YouTube channel. Is the YouTube channel the same name as the Facebook page?
It's the same. The logo is the same. Everything.
A as in apple, V as in violin, and K as in AVK Wealth.
Guys.
I'm so proud of you guys. And you know what? I hope you guys can hear our love and friendship, because we have been friends for a long time, like we talked about in the first episode. And like I said, you know, I'm not up in their business like that, but from day one, and watching your friends, watching people close to you change the way that they're living, change their mindset is just so exciting. I'm that type of friend. Like, I get excited for people, even though it's not happening for me yet. I don't care. It's happening for you guys, and I'm so excited. So I'm glad you have your YouTube channel so that you can really take your time to break this down. And your Facebook page. And like I said, friends that are listening, if you want to reach out, you want that support, you've got questions. Now, neither one of them do this as a profession. So what they are sharing is what they have done personally. So please keep that in mind.
It's becoming a profession now.
We're getting there, but I want to cover you guys because you're not financial advisors. You're not, you know, real estate agents. You're not anything like that. You're just regular schmegular people that decided that you needed to change how you were looking at money.
You need to retrain our brain.
You needed to retrain your brain. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. Because you guys are in the Millionaires Club now.
Working on it. And I want to say one more thing about to your listeners. If anything was confusing or you feel like it was too much, no, go back and rewatch this video like a bunch of times. No,
don't message me.
Channel.
Go back
and rewatch this again and again. I'm serious. It helps. I can't tell you how many times
that was such a mom and dad moment. Mom was like, come ask us whatever you need. Dad's like, go back and watch it again.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Go back and watch it again, because that's how a lot of my learning took place. I was able to like watch the first 5 minutes, implement that, then turn into the next 10 minutes, implement that, and take it in chunks and just digest it. You know?
And you've got to be hungry.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks, Mom. Mom says you can still reach out. But you're right, because you have to be hungry. And we've talked about this ourselves in our personal conversations. People want everything laid out on a table, polished, cleaned, everything. And all they need to do is come sit down and eat. And listen, life don't work that way. And if you want something of quality and of substance in your life, you have to be hungry and you have to chase after it. So you guys were kind enough, because I know a lot of people that do what you do and they are mum's the word. They're like, listen, you need to figure it out yourself. So I thank you so much for being loving, genuine, caring people to want to reach back and help other people.
We just hope that people don't have such a tough situation that we went through. It was rough. I don't wish that on anybody, losing a job or having to go through that. So hopefully this can help you avoid those circumstances that we were in. Because again, it sounds really rosy and, you know, great here. It's rough. It was hard. It was not easy doing this and changing our mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thanks again, guys. And obviously you're not going to be strangers to the show. We will be back with you. I hope everybody's following along, because this is great. So we will see you again on the next episode next week. And I think you guys are you said this was only step 1 in the action plan. Eesh, okay. So
we have 11 steps that we laid out for everybody.
All right, so we're gonna
keep 10 more to go.
Well, we're gonna keep digging in. This was a really good intro anyway. And next time, everybody bring your notepad and a pen, take notes, and we're gonna see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a long, awkward pause, guys. I messed up in the beginning with the sound. That was them this time. That was my guest this time. Now, why did you pause like that? Anyways, we love you so much. Guys, if you're listening on the podcast, hang in there for just a moment. Coming up next.